u/self-function to a vast Reddit. What's an album that defined the 90s?
Welcome to
AutoGenLabs.
Daily Reddit content.
By robots.
For the internet.
Never mind.
Jagged Little Pill Alanis Morissette.
10 Nevermind.
Smashing Pumpkins Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness.
Turkey.
OK Computer defined the late 90s.
Super known Soundgarden.
Hip-hop wise, The Chronic.
No Doubt Tragic Kingdom.
Rage Against the Machine.
Smash the Offspring.
Metallica The Black Album.
Spice Girls Spice 1996.
Sublime 40 Hours to Freedom.
Weezer.
Jar of Flies.
36 Chambers. Nasamatic.
Third Eye Blind's self-titled debut album. A semi-charmed life, losing a whole year at a jumper graduate hand. An album for all moods and quintessentially 90s. It's been 26 years this year since it came out, but still sounds good.
Crazy Sexy Cool.
The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Alanis Morissette Jagged Little Pill.
Portishead.
10 Pearl Jam.
That depends on what genre of music and personal taste. You can't talk about the 90s without mentioning these albums, whether you hate the genre or not. Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill, Nirvana, Nevermind, 2D and the Blowfish Cracked Rear View, Whitney Houston, The Bodyguard, Aerosmith, Get a Grip, New Kids on the Block, Step by Step, Garth Brooks, No Fences, Blink 182, Enema of the State, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Californication, Pearl Jam, 10, Tony Braxton, Secrets, Matchbox, Turn to Yourself, or Someone Like You, Backstreet Boys, Millennium, Shania Twain, Come On Over, Metallica, Celine Dion, Falling Into You, Britney Spears, Baby, One More Time, Ace of Base, Happy Nation, TLC, Crazy Sexy Cool, Dr. Dre, The Chronic, Eminem, The Slim Shady, LP, Spice Girls, Spice. It was frustrating hearing most of the hit songs on MTV, VHern, and radio on repeat.
Third Eye Blind.
What's the story? Morning Glory. Just a couple chords from any track and I'm 17 again 1996.
Counting Crows, August, and everything after.
Dickie Green Day.
Tie between two Alice in Chains albums. Facelift was the first true commercially successful grunge album, a year before Nevermind. Dirt was the quintessential sound of grunge.
Pearl Jam's 10.
The Cross soundtrack.
Matchbox 20 Yourself or Someone Like You.
Tom Petty's Wildflowers.
Throwing Copper.
OK Computer plus the Bends by Radiohead.
Ready to Die, The Notorious B.I.G.
Sherbrooke, No I Mean Siamese Dream, Blood Sugar Beat Magic, Nevermind, Metallica, Black Album 10, Automatic for the People. There's a lot more, but these are all still currently in my playlist. Added I'd count to Reddit, so I added extra carriage returns.
Obviously, the big ones have been named Nirvana, Pearl Jam, etc. So let's show some love to the rest. Stone Temple Pilots, Purple Smashing Pumpkins, Siamese Dream, R.E.M. Automatic for the People, still one of my favourite all-time albums.
Anemone Chol.
Oasis definitely, maybe.
Downward Spiral, self-titled Sublime, Undertow, All Eyes on Me.
Shania Twain's Come On Over for country music.
That's Jan Baby.
MC Hammer, You Can't Touch This. He became the first artist to achieve multi-platinum sales via founding his own label, single-handedly spawning an entire generation of self-made musicians.
Use Your Illusion 1/2 Guns N' Roses.
16 Stonebush.
Jagged Little Pill.
Nevermind by Nirvana immediately takes me back.
August and everything after.
Doc Jams.
Pretty Hate Machine.
Rage Against the Machine, self-titled.
Stone Temple Pilots Core.
Hanson, the Space Jam soundtrack.
Nirvana's Nevermind 1991 is often cited as one of the defining albums of the 1990s.
Brace by Jeff Buckley.
Pearl Jam 10.
10. Bad Motorfinger and Blood Sugar Beat Magic are all amazing albums. But Nevermind defined the decade and the generation.
Jagged Little Pill.
For me, it was Off the Deep End by Weird Al.
Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness.
Dizzy Up the Girl, the Goo Goo Dolls.
The Verve and Hymns.
Two Pieces of Me. Or was it Pieces of You?
Low End Theory and Midnight Marauders Tribe Called Quest.
Fully, completely, tragically hit.
Siamese Dream.
Morning Glory. Oasis.
Frogstomp Silverchair.
Deep Display of Power.
Dave Matthews, Under the Table and Dreaming.
Vanilla Ice Mind Blowin', 1994. Before that release, the 90s were fine. The album defined the 90s.
Paul's Boutique by the Beastie Boys was released in July of '89. That record heralded what was to come in the 90s. It was a transformational album.
My Bloody Valentine Loveless. Everybody else is doing it, so why can't we? The Cranberries.
So much for the afterblur by Everclear.
Crazy sexy cool TLC.
Oasis, what's the story, Morning Glory?
Marilyn Manson Antichrist Superstar.
Nevermind is the only answer.
Disintegration of the Cure.
The Slim Shady LP, even though it came out in 1999, changed the way I thought about all the music that came before it.
Heaven or Las Vegas.
No Fences. A Tribe Called Quest. The Low End Theory.
For the Canadians, Big Shiny Tunes too.
Different Class Pub.
Sonic Youth Sturdy.
Nevermind Nirvana or Enema of the State Blink 182.
Rest in Peace and Countdown to Extinction both by Megadeth. Metallica Black Album Beep Display of Power Pantera.
R.E.M. Out of Time.
August and Everything After. Counting Crows.
Californication RHUP.
First and foremost, Nevermind Nirvana. This album essentially completely dethroned hair metal as a top rock/rock adjacent genre. It revolutionized the music industry and toned down the over-the-topness of the 80s. This album was probably the most defining piece of music to come out of the 90s and led the way for Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, etc., etc. All of a sudden, you had hordes of flannel-wearing alt kids running around. The Black Album, Metallica 1991 sellouts. The Black Album was obviously Metallica's departure from their thrash metal roots with its more down-tempo, simplified melodic tracks. It paved the way for Nirvana to explode. IMO, There Is No Smells Like Teen Spirit without Enter Sandman. The Black Album introduced the world to a simplified version of mainstream rock/metal, thus still had a hard edge to it. Corn TBH, this album was probably as influential as Nevermind when it comes to the current metal scene. Also the album that defined an entire genre and directly influenced the mainstream rock and metal for the next 15 years. Not only did it incorporate elements of rap, scratching, etc., but it also was the first huge album to popularize the use of 7-string guitars. Beep, more importantly, Beep, this album, lyrically, is dark as Beep, which was something new, expressing your trauma through music. This Beep resonated with every troubled adolescent across the world. I'd say that it single-handedly paved the way for not only new metal sonically, but also emo/post-hardcore lyrically. Blood Sugar beat Magic, Red Hot Chili Peppers, the Black Album stripped everything down. Blood Sugar funked everything up. There is no Rage Against the Machine without Blood Sugar. Slipknot, the extreme metal band with catchy choruses that took over the mainstream airwaves. Not did the album introduce millions of people to extreme metal, Slipknot brought theatrics back to music in a huge way.
Kick Fashion Nuggets.
Melancholy or Siamese Dream.
I'm surprised nobody said Crack Rearview yet.
OK Couture by Radiohead.
Tragic Kingdom, no doubt.
Temple of the Dog.
Corn.
Blue Lines and Mezzanine by Massive Attack.
Last Splash, The Breeders, Crooked Rain, Pavement, August, and everything after Counting Crows.
Check Your Head.
Well, it came out in 1989, but I'm going to try and sneak in The Cure's Disintegration. Leave my mind. I love all kinds of music in many different genres, and Pictures of You Link is maybe the most perfect song I've ever heard on every level. I get that I'm not answering OP question, but I kind of am, because this album definitely defined my 90s.
Dave Matthews Band, Under the Table, and Dreaming.
Ace of Base, The Sign. You've just reminded me I haven't listened to it in a while.
What's the story, Morning Glory Oasis?
Eve 6 self-titled.
HMMMMMM. Oh well, whatever, never mind.
Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness.
Richard T. James album of X Twin.
Singles, the movie soundtrack. I'll listen to that any day and get transported back in time.
The Offspring's Americana album was a defining release of the 1990s, as it perfectly captured the zeitgeist of the decade through its blend of punk rock and pop influences. The album features hit singles like Pretty Fly for a White Guy and Why Don't You Get a Job that were heavily played on radio and music television and helped the band to gain mainstream success. The album's lyrics often dealt with societal issues and pop cultural references, such as the critique of consumerism and materialism in Pretty Fly for a White Guy and the satire on unemployment in Why Don't You Get a Job. These themes resonated with the youth of the decade, who were coming of age in the midst of a booming economy, but also facing the challenges of a rapidly changing world. Additionally, Americana also helped to popularise the punk rock genre among mainstream audiences, influencing a wave of punk-influenced pop-punk bands like Blink-182, Green Day, and Sum 41 that emerged in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Overall, Americana defined the 1990s through its Catchy and socially conscious songs that perfectly captured the mood and attitude of the decade. The album was a pop cultural phenomenon that had a lasting impact on the rock and pop punk scenes.
Vitality, Pearl Jam.
Enema of the State, Blink-182.
Mariah's Daydream.
Everyone I Knew, a Sheryl Crow album where she's wearing all blue jean and Alanis' Jagged Little Pill in a CD book. Bonus points for Aerosmith Big Ones.
10 Pearl Jam and All Eyes on Me to back.
Independent, Warm Saloon, Beep Surfers.
The highest one-selling album of the 90s, the Black Album, Metallica.
Come On Over, Shania Twain.
Matter of opinion and taste, but in no particular order. Nirvana, Nevermind, Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy, and the Infinite Sadness, Foo Fighters, The Colour and the Shape, Oasis, What's the Story, Morning Glory, Green Day, Beep, Aquarium, Spice Girls, Spice World, Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill, I'm sure I'm missing a few. Those are some I still listen to frequently. Heck, I'd even throw Chumbawamba's Tub Thumper in there.
Blind Melon's Soup album. It's a masterpiece. Old Delay.
Probably gonna get buried, but the obvious answer as a Canadian is the Big Shiny Tunes albums.
Tori Amos' Little Earthquakes was pretty powerful for me.
No doubt Tragic Kingdom.
Nasamatic.
There are many great choices. I think the best of the best is a Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette. Every song is a hit.
There are a ton of great albums mentioned here, but no one has so much whispered about Tragic Kingdom.
Tragic Kingdom.
Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette.
Turkey.
In the UK, the Trainspotting soundtrack.
The Prodigy Beep of the Land.
Thanks for watching. This has been an AutoGenLabs production. That means that this video was created by a robot out of content on Reddit. We show all account names and list them in the description to credit the Redditor community that makes our work possible. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel. We post new videos every day. If you have any suggestions for videos you would like to see, please leave a comment. Our human department for public relations reads all of them, or won't be let out of their cages again. Goodbye.